Tonight, a police manhunt underway after a terrifying abduction scare. A child snatched near a busy jetty in Perth South. A southern suburbs education assistant jailed for 7 years over her shocking affair with a 15-year-old boy. A ticket to ride. WA school students score free travel to and from classrooms in a new cost of living fix. Perth's housing crisis laid bare. The Forestfield family forced to sleep in their car because they can't secure a rental. Pro-Palestinian activists dragged from the women's singles final before Aryna Sabalenka claims back-to-back Australian Open titles. And the West Indies pull off one of the greatest upsets in cricket history.
Live from Perth, 7 News with Jerrie Demasi.
Good evening. Police are tonight hunting 3 people at the centre of a terrifying abduction scare in Bicton. A toddler was snatched while playing near the river. She was carried toward a car park before her father realised and ran after her. Monique Dirks reports.
At the end of this Bicton cul-de-sac, the beginning of every parent's nightmare, a 4-year-old girl was here at Point Walter Jetty with her family on Australia Day, playing in the sand when she was preyed upon. A group of 3 adults approached the little girl. A woman picked her up and they carried her away, walking towards the car park.
The father of the child quickly intervened and recovered his daughter from the woman. We're this very thankful he's acted so quickly.
It was just before 5:30 p.m. The river's edge was packed with families, detectives calling the incident brazen and bizarre. Why the trio grabbed her and what they plan to do next remains unclear.
Until we know those intentions, we're going to treat it as a serious incident. But it is odd behaviour that does need explaining either way, because you can't do that to someone's child.
Detectives say the woman is aged in her 30s. She was wearing heavy makeup and a long khaki-coloured skirt. One of the men was also aged in his 30s and was wearing dark-coloured shorts. The other was wearing white Crocs and was missing a tooth. Police say the trio are of Asian descent.
We would like these people to come forward and explain their actions, whether they be malicious or just inappropriate and they don't know.
Detectives know the chances of the group handing themselves in are slim. Their best bet at identifying them now is looking at the photos and videos that people took while down here at the river on the public holiday, in the hope they caught a glimpse of them in the background.
Bringing them into focus for police. Monique Dirks, 7 News.
A southern suburbs education assistant has been jailed for 7 years over a months-long affair with a student in her care. A judge found the 37-year-old psychologically groomed the teenage boy and even made threats to make him stay.
In the halls of a southern suburbs high school, a gross abuse of trust. It's where a 35-year-old education assistant met her 15-year-old victim, a student in her care. The victim transferred into her class in September 2021. When he told her he had nowhere to go, she let him secretly stay in the family home she shared with her de facto husband and their 2 children. The relationship turned sexual. Soon after, she separated from her partner and moved into a friend's house. The victim stayed with her. The 2 exchanged sexual pictures, videos and texts almost daily. He saved her number as wifey. She saved his as future husband. Months later, they were caught, the school informed, and police called. She was charged and released on the condition the relationship ended. It didn't. Police swooped. She's been in custody ever since and now sentenced to 7 years jail. With parole, she could be out in 5. 7 News won't identify the woman to protect her victim. The sentencing judge found there was clearly a power imbalance. The victim relied on her and was vulnerable. Now he struggles with suicidal thoughts. The woman is now fighting to see her children behind bars. Her eldest is now 16, 1 year older than the victim when her offending began. Cyan Valance, 7 News.
Premier Roger Cook has rolled out his first cost of living fix for 2024 that will see all WA school students get a free ride to the classroom and back home again for the rest of the year. As Jeff Parry reports, it will save some parents hundreds of dollars.
With WA's summer of free public transport coming to an end, the state government has moved to make some of it more permanent. The main initiative is free travel for school students Monday to Friday for the rest of the year.
For a family with 2 kids using public transport to get to and from school, that delivers a saving of more than $500 each year. So this measure will be welcome relief for those families struggling with their household budgets.
Students go back to the classroom on Wednesday. Pam Canane's eldest is going into high school.
It was a whole new set of brand new books, new iPads, new uniforms, and it's just one less thing to have to worry about at the start of the year.
It will cost the government $10 million in foregone revenue. Another $10 million will be lost with a decision to make trains and bus travel free to all commuters every Sunday. Free public transport for the past several weeks has been a hit with patrons, with passenger numbers shooting up by 40%.
Not only has it saved people money, it is also changing decisions for the future about using public transport.
For some students, it will cost a bit of money to save money. If they don't have a Smart Rider card, they'll have to get one, and it'll cost them $20.
We need to monitor usage, and we need to then, for example, increase our capacity if we need to. Without the Smart Rider data, we cannot properly plan our public transport services.
It's taken the WA Labor government 3 years to recognise that Western Australians are doing it tough.
Jeff Parry, 7 News.
A Forestfield family is tonight begging the state government for more help to fix Perth's tight rental market as they battle to secure a property. With nowhere to go, the family of 3 has been forced to sleep in their tiny hatchback. Cyan Valance has this exclusive report.
WA's housing crisis laid bare.
This is our home. This is our life at the moment.
The family of 3 has no choice and nowhere else to go.
We sleep in a car and people walk past with their dogs in the morning and they look at you like you're nothing. You know, they look at you like you're drug addicts or you're alcoholics and, you know, we're not.
Their rental was sold 2 weeks ago. With a budget of $500 a week, they can't secure a new one. This is what the line looks like at every viewing. They've been rejected again and again and again.
Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Disheartening. It breaks you. It breaks you mentally, physically and emotionally. I'm not going to lie, I've thought about even committing suicide.
Both Narelle and Ray have chronic health conditions. They're on the priority public wait list. They had hoped for a home anywhere in the eastern suburbs before their 12-year-old starts term 1 on Wednesday.
You know, I feel like a bad mum because I don't have a roof for my daughter.
Jane Armstrong has been on the front lines of the homelessness crisis for 8 years.
I've never seen it quite this bad. Ordinarily, we'd be able to locate, even if it was just a flat or a caravan or somewhere, you know, temporary for a little while. There's no space.
Perth's vacancy rate has now been less than 1% for years. There simply aren't enough houses and they can't be built fast enough. In a statement, the state government told 7 News COVID radically reshaped the housing market. It's boosted funding for homelessness by 23%, adding 1,850 social homes with 1,000 more under contract or construction.
We're trying to stay strong and positive, we really are.
But their strength dwindles with every night they spend on the street. Cyan Valance, 7 News.
A man has been taken to hospital after a fight broke out at a train station in Perth's northeast. Police were called to Bassendean just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. After receiving reports of multiple people fighting, officers swarmed the station, cordoning off an area near the front entrance. The man in his 20s was taken to Royal Perth with injuries. 1 person has been arrested. It's unclear what sparked the fight. Investigations are ongoing. Power has been restored to more than 3,000 homes after a car erupted into flames in Armidale. The vehicle slammed into a power pole late yesterday. Fire quickly spread to nearby bushland.
We came running out of the house, like we heard sparks or the transformer just making all these types of noises, ran out and the whole car was on fire.
The flames were already up through the trees, so and then even that house just across the road, so lucky.
Western Power worked quickly, restoring connection to nearby suburbs in little over an hour. Federal opposition leader Peter Dutton remains tight-lipped on whether the coalition will support the overhauled Stage 3 tax cuts.
Well, again, we'll do the figures as we're doing at the moment, and we'll make a decision and an announcement in relation to our position. But I think the most important point to make here is that the Prime Minister has broken his trust.
Anthony Albanese believes Labor will pass the cuts unchanged through the Senate, with or without the opposition. A pro-Palestinian protest has brought the penultimate night of the Australian Open to a halt, security stepping in to deal with the demonstrators. But it did nothing to stop the party for back-to-back champ Aryna Sabalenka.
The celebrations aren't slowing down for Aryna Sabalenka and her team. Well acquainted with this trophy, the 25-year-old's second Australian Open win in a row.
We all had a little drink. Some of them had not a little drink, they had a lot.
The Belarusian star competes with no flag next to her name because of her country's support of Russia's war on Ukraine. But it was a different flag that sparked drama in the Rod Laver Arena crowd. Play stopped when two protesters unfurled a Palestinian flag, albeit upside down, and chanted for all in the stadium and watching around the world to hear.
Don't upset these Rod Laver tennis fans, I tell you.
No.
They want to see this final.
Security rushing in, quickly ejecting the activists, fans booing as they were escorted out.
Anyone that comes in and disrupts the enjoyment of the fans or even any safety to the fans will be very quickly removed, and that happened last night.
It's one of several protests at the Australian Open. Play halted in Alexander Zverev's fourth round win after a woman threw papers onto the ground in support of Palestine. The Tennis Australia boss clear on his message ahead of tonight's men's final.
Tonight will be about entertainment, and we want our fans to come out and get some great entertainment, and anyone that plans on disrupting that won't be welcome.
Kate Massey, 7 News.
The UK has warned it reserves the right to strike back after a British-owned oil tanker was set ablaze by a missile fired by Houthi rebels off Yemen. It has again raised fears for the safety of commercial ships traversing the Red Sea.
The blaze caused by a Houthi missile strike hitting the Marlin Luanda off Yemen's coast. The fire burned for hours, put out with the help of the Indian, French and US navies. All have ships in the region. On board, the captain said thank you.
The vessel was on fire, and it was not a small fire, it was a huge fire. It's a loaded tanker, and I hope people know that what happens if a tanker goes on fire, a loaded tanker.
The US and UK have now launched a total of 9 strikes on the Houthi rebels, hoping to protect key shipping routes. Analysts fear the hit on the oil tanker is a sign the mission is failing.
It's been proportionate and has markedly reduced the amount of attacks that occurred in the opening phases of these engagements.
The Houthis claim they targeted this ship because of its links with the UK. The British government called it an intolerable and illegal attack. In London, Hugh Whitfield, 7 News.
Australia has joined a list of countries that have temporarily suspended funding for the United Nations Relief Agency for Palestinian refugees. That's because Israel accused some of the agency's staff of being involved in the October 7 terrorist attacks, some workers having their contracts terminated.
We remain committed to providing assistance to the people of Gaza, and we intend to continue to deliver aid to the people of Gaza.
The Relief Agency's commissioner is urging countries to reconsider their decisions to pull funding. Donald Trump has held back any attack against yesterday's giant damages payout against him. The candidate for US president has made his first public appearance since a New York jury ordered he pay tens of millions of dollars in one of his many legal fights.
Firing up supporters in Las Vegas,
The former president jokes about his laundry list of legal battles.
You know, I got so many trials. I say, which one is it, sir? That's number 14.
This after E. Jean Carroll, the New York columnist who won a sexual assault case against him, clinched an astonishing damages payout for Trump's comments about the case. $83.3 million US.
Look at yesterday. Look at all this crap that's going on.
Trump alluding to the payout. He initially called it ridiculous. Today, he appeared more cautious.
Al Capone, the great gangster, he was indicted less than me.
But his one remaining rival for the Republican nomination is saying plenty.
All that time that he's spending in a courtroom defending himself, he's not fighting for the American people.
Nikki Haley telling supporters in South Carolina Trump's legal fights are harming America's interests.
These court cases are going to go on for another year. And you know who sees that? Russia, China.
This, as the lawyer who led yesterday's damages claim against Donald Trump, suggests why the jury awarded such a big sum. Because that's what it takes to make a billionaire comply.
All he really understands is money, and so you should award an amount of money that will make him stop.
In the United States, Tim Lester, 7 News.
King Charles has spent his second night in hospital after surgery for an enlarged prostate. Europe Chief Bureau Hugh Whitfield is outside the private clinic in London where the King is recovering. Hugh, when is he expected to head home?
Well, that's still unclear, Jerry, but His Majesty has received company, the Queen spending a few hours by her husband's bedside before being seen to be driven away mid-afternoon with somewhat of a smile. The King is said to be doing well after his procedure, with reports he's been working from his hospital bed. This, of course, is the same private clinic his daughter-in-law, the Princess of Wales, remains in after her planned abdominal surgery. Kate has just spent a 12th night in hospital. She's expected to be released in the coming days ahead of a long recovery at home. It's claimed Charles chose this clinic for his treatment rather than others nearby to keep costs down. Security measures were already in place for the Princess here. This private hospital in the heart of London, very much the focus of royal life this weekend. Jerry.
Hugh, thank you. Australia has a new Queen of Speed after a 19-year-old broke the nation's all-time record that had stood for 10 years. Tori Lewis's blistering time catapults her into Australian sporting folklore and announces her on the world stage.
From the starting blocks to the history books in the space of seconds.
Tori Lewis trying to fight up and Ebony Lane. Tori Lewis is now starting to pick up.
11 seconds, 10. An Australian record run yesterday that still hasn't sunk in to the 19-year-old.
I honestly didn't even know I did it. I couldn't hear the announcer speaking, and it wasn't until all the girls were like screaming, being like, you broke it, you broke it. I was like, what?
Smashing her personal best by a 10th of a second and the time of her idol and former record holder Mel Breen by a 100th of a second.
My mum called me yesterday and she was crying, being like, I can't believe I wasn't there, I missed it. And I just told her, I'll break it again and you'll be there.
Starstruck today as former record holders Breen and Melinda Gainsford-Taylor pass the baton to the next generation.
Hey, congrats.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We were just sitting there just waiting for it. And then when we saw the time of 11:10, we all just went berserk.
The fact that my time is ahead of those women is just crazy to me.
As astonishing as breaking the Australian record is, Tori thinks she's just getting started. She expects to hit her peak around the middle of the year, just in time for the Paris Olympics. Tori's main event is the 200 metres. The current record holder, none other than Gainsford-Taylor.
People need to realise is how young she is. So there's just still so much development. I reckon my record could be well and truly in trouble.
That and her fellow competitors believing she'll crack 11:07 and automatically qualify for Paris.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so.
Ben Downey, 7 News.
Coming up, why some of WA's tourism hotspots could be closed off. Next, the new push to rename some of our state's most famous sites. Plus, the moment masked thieves target a jewellery store inside a busy shopping centre. Australia's suntanning obsession has been exposed why so many are ignoring the warnings. And Groundhog Day is back again, but this time it's a musical and it's coming down under. There's growing momentum to rename some of WA's natural tourism hotspots and close others to the public. WA's Indigenous Tourism Operators Council want places like Wave Rock in Hyden to be dual named in the same way Uluru replaced Ayers Rock. The council also wants Horizontal Falls in the Kimberley, also known as Goran Gadam, shut to tourists after a boat careered into rocks last year and injured 18 people. But the WA Tourism Council say the sector could not afford to lose such a massive drawcard. Doctors are calling on the federal government to provide greater funding for longer appointments. The Royal Australian College of General Practitioners has delivered a wish list ahead of the budget saying GP visits need to be made cheaper for patients with complex illnesses. It also wants a free yearly health check for Australia's 5 million children. The demands have been costed at $3.5 billion a year. Shocking new statistics have revealed the extent of Australia's sun-tanning obsession. 3/4 of young Aussies don't believe they'll develop skin cancer. A new campaign launching tomorrow aims to reverse that disturbing trend.
And here are my tips on how to speed up the tanning process this summer.
It's called End the Trend, a new campaign aiming to change habits and save lives.
Okay, just give me 10 more minutes to top up my suntan.
Australia has the highest rates of skin cancer in the world. One person dies from it every 6 hours. And despite having the sun-safe message drilled into them all through school, young Australians aren't listening.
I think it's just being young and dumb, to be honest. Everyone thinks they're invincible when they're younger.
New research shows 3/4 of 18 to 30-year-olds don't believe they'll get skin cancer. A third think it's fine to suntan at their age, and fewer than 1 in 10 consistently use all 5 forms of sun protection.
Unfortunately, they're prioritising the so-called glamorous over their health.
The shocking statistics have prompted the federal government to spend $7 million on the campaign to reverse our bronzed Aussie culture and remind people there's nothing healthy about a tan.
We've particularly focused this campaign End the Trend through media channels that young Australians use.
Harnessing the power of social media.
Let's get some SPF on this face.
Enlisting more than 50 influencers, including world champion swimmer and melanoma survivor Sam Short, motivating his followers to be sun safe.
With younger people sharing their experiences with melanoma and other skin cancers, it can really send a deep message to them and we can see some change.
A campaign melanoma treatment pioneers and this year's Joint Australians of the Year are right behind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic news.
Social influencers, social media, it's a powerful tool.
It's time we stopped normalising a suntan.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
Piles of agricultural waste have been dumped at the gates of a French government building as farmers fight for better pay for their produce and protection against cheap imports. Tractors shut down long stretches of road and slowed traffic, with angry activists threatening to block traffic around Paris for the coming week. It's shaping as a huge challenge for the new Prime Minister, who's been accused of not doing enough for the farmers. A huge blaze in the English city of Liverpool has forced mass evacuations, with smoke billowing across the city centre. The fire broke out in a 4-storey building, with initial fears that the entire structure would collapse. Fire crews were praised for bringing it under control, though locals were still warned to keep windows and doors shut as they returned to their homes. A major shopping centre has had to be evacuated after a group of masked thieves raided a Michael Hill jewellery store in Auckland. The teens can be seen holding weapons and smashing cabinets as security and shoppers watch on. The group fled with handfuls of jewellery. Their escape car was later found abandoned in a nearby suburb. A US highway turned into a circus when local police were called in to rescue camels and zebras. The animals had been forced to flee their trailer when it caught fire. Officials were happy to report no 4-legged friends were injured, though 2 officers were checked for smoke inhalation. Still to come, 3 people shot in drive-by shootings. A group of gunmen make a dramatic highway getaway. See those pictures next. How Australians are fighting the surging cost of car insurance. Plus, what's behind a new WA COVID spike? And a cult classic returns again from Broadway to Australia, Groundhog Day the musical. People have been sent running for their lives in Brisbane's CBD overnight after a gunman opened fire in a drive-by shooting, leaving 3 people injured.
Terrified, like people like, what's going on? I'm gonna lose my life or what? They were like lying down, some of them walked inside the store, so they just don't know what to do. They wanna save themselves.
They were just hiding from the gunshots?
Yes.
The attackers were tracked by the police helicopter and filmed weaving in and out of cars on a highway. The getaway car was dumped and torched. 2 people were arrested, with a 3rd person still on the run tonight. Queensland residents were lashed by severe weather on the southeast coast overnight, causing flash flooding and forcing rivers to rise. Incredible totals of more than 200 millimetres of rain were recorded in just minutes, and there could be more on the way.
In the darkness, it was hard to see, but the rain is all that could be heard. A deafening downpour that arrived in the middle of the night.
2:30 in the morning.
And wouldn't go away. Karen Crampton runs a family daycare at her Jimboomba home. She woke to the outdoor play area underwater.
The water content that just rushed through here was just bizarre. We've been here for 4.5 years and we've never seen that much water rush through.
Days of heat and humidity brewing storms that delivered a lot of rain.
Some very heavy rainfall overnight across the southeast. In fact, intense rainfall.
The result, flash flooding rapidly taking out roads across the region. City streets also unable to cope with the sudden burst of water from above. The Laidley Creek has already reached moderate flood levels, pushed to the limit by the overnight soaking.
It was high. Yeah, very surprising for something so short and so fast.
The southeast now on standby for what's next. Joel Dry, 7 News.
WA is on track to record its worst month for COVID deaths in a year. A new subvariant is to blame. Experts say JN1 has inherited more than 30 mutations, helping it find new ways to infect cells. 39 people have died in Western Australia so far this year. The grim total won't surpass January last year, where the disease claimed 104 lives. This is some good news, though, with numbers showing new hospital admissions dropping for the 2nd week running. Motorists are feeling the increasing pain of keeping their cars protected, with the cost of insurance surging. It's the latest worry in a cost of living crisis as Australians cope with the added pressure of keeping their cars safe from thieves.
Homes and cars are repeat targets for thieves. Insurance has never been more vital, but it's also more expensive.
And over the last 2 years, it's gone up almost 20% on average. That's significantly higher than even the higher inflation numbers than we've had over the last couple of years.
Insurer RACV claims major weather events, the rising cost of parts and labour, and replacement used car prices have pushed premiums higher. But for those trying to cut the cost of insurance, there are still huge savings to be found.
The difference between the most expensive and the cheapest comprehensive policy on the market is over $1,600.
In this year's Car Insurance Awards, Finder's winning insurer is Budget Direct, with an average comprehensive policy costing $992, cheaper than 27 rival insurers. Humebank was best for features, and best low-cost insurer is Bingle.
I don't know anything about it because I feel there's nothing you can do about it. Like all insurance is going up pretty quickly.
56% of motorists have had a premium price hike, but 62% did nothing about it.
We've gone with a multi-vehicle discount just to keep costs down just during these tougher times.
I shop around, I use compare sites and people that are offering points as well.
Insurers want your business, so there are deals to be had. Sign-up bonuses are pretty common. There's also things like frequent flyer points that certain insurers offer as well.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
After the break, bird warning. Next, fears for Perth's fairy terns, a warning to dog walkers visiting Point Walter. Plus, your first look at Zac Efron and John Cena's Australian-made movie. We take you to Tamworth's Golden Guitar Awards, celebrating the best of Aussie country music.
And coming up in Sunday Sport, highlights of one of the all-time Test boilovers as the unbeatable Aussies were humbled by a virtual unknown. And a Dockers star makes a big decision.
Now, Fuel Watch. Perth's petrol prices brought to you by Fuel Watch and 7 News.
It's been a sad start to the year for Point Walter's fairy terns. Last week, volunteers counted 240 nests along the spit, but today only 100 nests remain. Even though the area is a no-dog zone and has been fenced off with signage, there is evidence of human and dog activity. The birds nest directly in the sand. Any disruption can cause them to abandon their nests. Melville Rangers are asking locals to contact the city if they see someone beyond the fence. The trailer for a star-studded movie filmed across 20 locations in Melbourne early last year has just been released. Ricky Stanicky stars John Cena playing a fake friend to Zac Efron.
You know, all we did was tell one lie.
Hundreds and hundreds of times over many, many years.
If the truth does come out, my marriage is over.
What if we hire an actor to play Stanicky?
The state and federal governments paid millions to bring the comedy production to Victoria. The movie will be released in March. It's been a night of golden guitars and glamour as stars gathered in Tamworth for the Country Music Awards. And for some, getting to the winner's stage has been a lifelong journey.
Glitz, glamour and cowboy boots. This is the Tamworth red carpet with a distinctive country twist. From big names...
There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it anywhere on this planet.
...to stars in the making.
The buckle is a buckle I won in 2011 and the boots are Corrals and the socks and jocks are Bonds.
This was a night for performers to steal the stage. And a chance to add a coveted golden guitar to the mantelpiece.
The golden guitar goes to Brad Cox.
The winner of the Female Artist of the Year is Kaylee Bell.
I started singing when I was 4 years old with my brother and sister.
Husband and wife duo Felicity Urquhart and Josh Cunningham took home 3 awards, including Best Song and Single.
It's just such a great honour to stand here with my family.
While the Wolf Brothers won Album of the Year.
The quality of Australian country music right now is the best we've sort of felt it's ever been.
As visitors leave Tamworth, they'll drive by this unmissable landmark. Not only a symbol of the town's deep connection to country music, but also a reminder for aspiring artists that they can achieve their dreams and maybe one day win their very own golden guitar.
All I had was a dream and I work really hard and I hope that you know that you guys can do this too.
Amy Clements, 7 News.
Adrian Barich is back with more sport. And Barra, what a stunning win by the West Indies.
Yes, Jerry, it was a thrilling finish at the Gabba, wasn't it? And we loved it. But unfortunately, Australia was on the receiving end from a new Calypso king. In one of the most amazing tests played in this country, the Windies defeated the Aussies thanks to a new Caribbean hero. And Dad's Army, a West Aussie $350,000 richer at the Australian Open. Well, he couldn't walk last night, but today Shamar Joseph led the West Indies to one of Test cricket's greatest upsets. In just his second match, the seamer tore through the Aussies, taking 7 wickets at the Gabba. Steve Smith carried his bat, scoring 91, but the Windies, they won by 8 runs.
Shamar Joseph take a bow for one of the great pace bowling performances in the history of the game.
Shamar Joseph puts his country on his back and delivers the West Indies one of their most famous Test victories ever.
Even more remarkable after where Shamar comes from and what happened last night. Right after drinks last night, a turning point. That's how. Travis Head's run out of Cavum Hodge, followed by another Cameron Green special.
Oh, he's got it! And the second grab!
The Windies from 4 for 148 to 193. Shamar Joseph hit by a sandshoe crushing Stark no ball, not out, but retired hurt and off for scans instead of bowling.
We're keeping him in our prayers.
Chasing 216, Steve Smith, the opener, cut loose.
Rocking back, slashing.
But lost Kawaja for 10.
There's a nick, caught down the leg side.
Manus Labuschagne.
Well squared up.
5 and a centuryless summer. Back today, covers off but dark clouds hovering. 156 to go. Cam Green got going as a number 4 before Joseph returned, cleared to bowl.
Oh, cleaned him up.
Those Windies' prayers answered. Next ball, Travis Head.
Well, that is a terrific delivery. He's bowled him.
The 24th king pair in Test history. No hat-trick. Smith's first 50 as an opener in between. All the chaos.
Out. Gone.
Mitch Marsh for 10, juggling and jumping for joy. Alex Carey for 2.
Got him!
Shamar, the pace bowling shaman. Stark threw his wife's bat for 21, but became the 24-year-old Gem's 5th wicket.
Big moments, catch taken.
5 for 51 in 41 balls, busted toe, second test, 7th first-class game. Joseph's remote upriver Guyanan village of 350, watch on black and white TVs. Add the Australian captain to his victims.
Edge taken! The West Indies are taking off!
After the break, 2 wickets or 29 runs needed.
Gone! He is gone!
Lyon fell to Alzari Joseph. 1 wicket, 25 runs. Steve Smith still there in the 80s.
The ramp! And that is all the way into the seats.
But Smith, 91 not out, a lone hand, as Josh Hazlewood became Shamar's 7th victim. 7 for 68. An 8-run win to the West Indies, their first in Australia in 27 years. The Caribbean star we've longed for is born.
And it's really amazing for my teammates. Must give another shout out to them. They're really encouraging, and you know, I'm glad that I make them proud.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Well done. And South Africa's women's team also made history in Canberra today, knocking off the Aussies in Australia for the first time. Beth Mooney was given plenty of chances in the second T20 at Manuka Oval before luck turned against her.
Oh, can you believe it? It was almost the impossible catch. It's taken the hand on the way through. Mooney's out of her crease.
And West Aussie Marcus Stoinis won't be returning home for the BBL. He's just signed a new 3-year deal with the Melbourne Stars. Now, Daniil Medvedev has taken an almost unbeatable lead in tonight's men's decider at the Australian Open. The Russian easily won the first set against Italian star Yannick Sinner.
Quite the opening statement from Daniil Medvedev. He takes the first set, 6-3. Took 36 minutes.
The second set went the same way, with the Italian suffering first Grand Slam final nerves, losing 6-3 again.
And Medvedev taking charge of this final. He's got the second set and he leads by 2-0.
After 3 shots at it, the third seed is on track to win his first Australian Open singles title. And Australia's new doubles champion, WA's Matt Ebden, had just 2 hours sleep before taking his party home to Perth today. Ebden and his 43-year-old partner pocketed $700,000 prize money between them, while Australian Open women's champion Aryna Sabalenka won $3.15 million.
How could you not be happy after winning the Happy Slam? From the press conference last night...
Did you guys have some drink? It's going to be a fun interview.
...to the hotel. And this morning...
We started the tournament with the dance and we finished the tournament with the dance.
After losing last year's US Open final, a focus on having fun off-court helped Aryna Sabalenka stay locked in on it.
Sabalenka defends the title. Easy to handle the pressure because we're having so much fun off the court.
A lesson for Zheng Qingwen. At 21, no match for the power of the Belarusian, disappointed but determined.
There must be reason behind why you lose, and we have to try to figure out why and then come back stronger and better next time.
Just like Rowan Bopana. At 43, the oldest man in the Open era to win a Grand Slam doubles title.
History for that man.
Playing alongside Matt Ebden, the Aussie already looking ahead. A rare golden slam on the table this year, all 4 majors plus Paris Olympic gold.
Absolutely. I mean, of course you can. They're very, very hard to win. They're very, things have to really go your way.
And a tip for the men's final?
Sinner in 4 sets.
Brett Thomas, 7 News.
That could be wrong. And there could be wedding bells soon at the Fremantle Dockers, with star midfielder Andy Brayshaw announcing his engagement to high school sweetheart Lizzie Stock today.
Very excited, and standing next to Lizzie looking like that, very happy.
I don't want to say anything or jinx anything, but whatever happens, I'm really proud of him, so I think it'll be a good night regardless.
Brayshaw was sporting a black eye and stitches after a high hit at training this week. The couple went to high school together at Melbourne's Haileybury College, and of course 24-year-old Andy is part of one of WA's most famous sporting families. Lizzie, a registered nurse and a biomedical scientist. The Perth Wildcats have secured their spot in the finals after a 12-point win over an undermanned South-East Melbourne last night. Pinder finished with 23 points. Young gun Alex Sarr had 18 as he returned from injury. But their coach, he wasn't happy with the extra attention to his star player.
Bryce Cotton, 4 drawn fouls tonight. I listen to every press conference. I read a lot of articles. Tell me someone that doesn't have him at the top of the scouting report. And when he's aggressive, 4 drawn fouls. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. The Cats play the Breakers in Perth next Sunday. And no luck was involved in this win. Ireland has taken down the world champs at a Rugby Sevens tournament in Perth. The Australian women were on a streak of 29 wins against the Irish. Eve Higgins breaking a tackle to take the gold medal match at HBF Park.
Get it out! History made! An extraordinary moment for Irish rugby. Ireland the champions in Perth.
And the Aussie men also took the silver medal, going down to the championship team, Argentina. David Williams has pulled off another remarkable effort in the dying stages to salvage a draw for the Perth Glory against Macarthur Bulls. Down 2-1 with less than 2 minutes left on the clock. This happened.
With Williams. Comes inside, Williams still going. Davey Williams, he's done it again! 3 out of 3 for Davey Williams in the 93rd minute.
The Glory next take on Melbourne City at HBF Park next Friday night. And 6th-tier club Maidstone United pulled off one of the biggest upsets in FA Cup history. A 2-1 4th-round win over championship contenders Ipswich Town.
Oh, yes! Unbelievable! They're not going to lie down. Scarcely believable.
Maidstone sit 4 divisions and 98 places below Ipswich in the English football pyramid. The celebrations proving too much for one fan who fell off the 2nd tier. That was just a massive upset. That fan was all right too. A bit like Perth Footy Club beating Collingwood.
Right.
The Demons are looking pretty good this year.
That's very good to hear. Thanks, Barra. All right, classic 90s film Groundhog Day. It's back as a musical and it's coming down under. The award-winning production has been reimagined with songs by Australian comedian Tim Minchin.
You may be thinking you've seen it all before.
That's right, woodchuck chuckers, it's Groundhog Day!
Groundhog Day is back as a musical and the forecast is fun.
I feel like it's a really lucky role to play.
It's been 31 years since the film hit the big screen, becoming a cult classic.
1,000 people freezing their butts off waiting to worship a rat.
Now Groundhog Day the musical has hit the road on tour from Broadway to Melbourne.
Have elevated what was so special about the movie, have made it even more touching, even more funny.
The cast take audiences back to Punxsutawney.
Once a year, the eyes of the nation turn to this tiny hamlet in western Pennsylvania to watch a master at work.
And transport them through that unforgettable time loop with Phil the Weatherman and his producer Rita. For the cast, learning lines was harder than usual.
Rehearsing it, everyone had moments where we were like, what day is it?
And there's only 15 seconds for costume changes.
Sounds really stressful. Do you ever get anyone caught in a zipper? Yes.
Although it's really good fun and silly, it has huge themes, as the movie did, but with the musical you get to really
drill into those themes.
If I had known what now I know, maybe I would have taken a moment.
As for what the original Phil thinks of the show...
Back on Broadway 7 years ago, Bill Murray came to see the show, and then he saw it again the next day.
Christy Mayer, 7 News.
A sunny week ahead. Stay with us on 7. I'll have your full weather forecast right after this break. Welcome back. Well, the heat is about to ramp up again. This afternoon, however, we only made it to 27 degrees, which came after a morning low of 17. Across the country, Sydney and Melbourne both partly cloudy tomorrow. Brisbane could see a storm, sunny top of 30 for Adelaide. Back in WA, mostly sunshine right across the state from the Kimberley to the south, just the chance of a storm or two in our interior. On Perth waters, winds turning southerly to 30 knots, seas to 2.5 metres, swell to 2. Then down to 17 degrees tonight before a sunny top of 30 tomorrow. But Tuesday, it's getting warm, 36. That heat building to a peak of 40 come Tuesday. Hot on Friday too, 38, with the mercury dropping to 30 by the start of next weekend. And that is 7 News for this Sunday. Thank you for your company. I'll be back with evening updates, but stay with us now for the 1% Club. Good night.